I love Vinny. I really do. He's such a good person.
Okay, this is who it is. It's Vinny Ventiera.
So I was on season 12. It was JoJo Fletcher's season.
Pushing me.
All I cared was when I was there, I was like, please, 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 do not let me go home night one. They asked me to go on Paradise right after that.
So I actually auditioned last season.
You can hear it here first in the podcast.
The only reality show audition that I've ever done.
I felt like I was on my freaking period the whole month I was there filming.
And he was like Yogi, Handstand Dan.
You say Handstand Dan?
Welcome back to another episode of Millennial Girls. I'm Racquel, in case you don't know by now, and
I'm Natasha.
So this is a really fun episode. It is also sponsored by Formula Z Cosmetics, which we are super excited about. But we're doing like a collaboration episode in this one. It's really fun. A lot of you may know who it is with, but I'm going to wait to tell you because I know so many people have already texted me who I told we were doing this episode, and they're like, oh my God, I loved him when he was on The Bachelor. Still, I loved him when he was on Millionaire Matchmaker. So
oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to like pick his brain about this stuff because I feel like, you know, I'm an average girl. I'm not any, just because I'm doing a podcast, I'm still an average girl, and I have a lot of friends that I'm sure would love to get like insight on all the reality television.
I don't think I ever realized how many super fans there were. So I interviewed this particular person right after he pretty much got off the show, and it got a decent amount of views for my little, YouTube channel that I was just kind of doing to do. So I think, it's going to be a really fun one. I think this is what the world needs right now, is some fun, uplifting energy. He definitely has a lot of energy, as do we. So I can only imagine what's about to happen. But okay, this is who it is. It's Vinny Ventiera. So if you have been a Bachelor fan, he was on JoJo's season of The Bachelor. He was on Bachelor in Paradise. He got dumped like right before he was going to propose. Then he was on Millionaire Matchmaker. So he's a staple in the Bachelorette community.
No, I'm excited because, okay, like I was never like a diehard, like my reality television is like the Kardashians, right? Like I didn't get like super into like Bachelor in Paradise, all this stuff. But I will say at one point in high school, I remember somewhere along the lines I like jumped in on, I think it was like one last Bachelor season before the Bachelorette started, or like it was like the second Bachelorette or something. And from there, I was talking to Racquel about this last week. I was like, I actually watched quite an amount of seasons of like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, but I was more into The Bachelorette, and I don't remember him like particularly. Like I can't wait to like get on the call with him because I'm gonna be like, do I still remember you or not? Because I watched that and I watched Millionaire Matchmaker.
Yeah, so I've actually known Vinny forever, probably about 8 years now. So he lives in Delray, which I went to school in Boca Raton at FAU. So we would always go out in Boca. So he was the DJ. He DJ'd at this bar club called Salt 7, and it was like the place to go on Fridays and Saturdays, brunch on Sundays. They do this crazy brunch with like fireworks, and you would literally think you were at a nightclub on Sundays. Natasha, it's the wildest thing. Like we gotta go. I have to take you once we can leave our houses.
Once all of this is finally over, I would love to experience a brunch like that.
It's wild. It's so wild. I remember I brought my friends once who were in town from California, and my friend Kayla's boyfriend was like, let's go.
Oh my God, that sounds so
boy.
much fun. There's this place in TJ. So TJ is like Tijuana when you cross the border from San Diego. And there's this place, I think it's called Shots. I know we have a Shots in Miami, but there's also a Shots in TJ. Here. No, and they have like this extensive menu of like every kind of like flavored shot. Like it's actually really cool. It's a really cool concept. Whoa. We should have one here. But it reminds me of that because they have like one shot where they do this whole thing like at Benihana, like whatever, and then amazing. They put the shot on the counter of the bar, and then they light it on fire. So like if you're too close to the bar, like your hair might catch on. But like
that would be so bad for me.
I mean, that would probably be a liability here in the States, but like it's really fun. Totally. It's a fun experience.
Wait, that's so funny. No, literally, like they do this like not a fishbowl, but it kind of looks like a vase that you put flowers in, and it's like this big blue drink, and there's like a million straws, and there's like light what are the like glow up light sticks that they do at brunch, like
inside?
Vinny's just like
That's so cool.
Vinny is like bumping the like jams. It's so crazy. It's so fun. I haven't been in forever, but oh my god, I forgot that was even a thing. But anyway, so yeah, I've known him for a long time, and I remember when he was on the episode, like the intro episode, I was like, is that Vinny? Like Vinny? Like DJ Vinny Vinsane? And it was, and it's just so crazy because he's just such a down-to-earth guy, and everyone I always talk about is always just like, he's so nice. People have like met him in the airport before or like at charity events, and he's just such a cool, humble dude. So it's going to be a lot of fun that we're doing this episode with him, and we're going to bring him in right now because he's a hoot. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited, guys.
I'm like, Vinny, where's my drink? I feel like I'm ready now. Like, this got me really excited.
I know, right? Should I be drinking champagne right now?
Like, where's my drink at? Vinny, put the beats on. Let's get to it.
Literally. All right, guys, so I think it's finally time to bring in Vinny because I've already just been telling about how fun he is and great he is. So Vinny is here, of course, via Zoom because, you know, we're still in this whole global pandemic situation, so we're making sure everyone is safe. But what's up, Vinny? How are you?
Hey, what's up? That was a great intro. You telling everybody about me? Like, what'd you say? Anything good? Like bad? What's up?
Oh, I said some pretty great stuff. Don't worry. Natasha was excited to.
It was all
All
positive.
right.
See, we turned that frown upside down. Now I'm excited. No, I'm just kidding.
I was actually explaining to her how Salt's brunch is crazy because I totally forgot about it, and then I was thinking about how you guys go ham, and I was explaining the glow sticks and the huge drinks, and it's a club on Sunday at
the brunch.
She was making me thirsty. I was like, I'm ready to go party with Vinny now.
No, I know. It's giving examples of like what Salt 7 brunch is about. It's like you pretty much, you nailed some of the points, but it's like I miss it. I don't miss being hungover as heck on Mondays, but it was definitely like out of control. It's like we kind of took like the Lavo brunch, that whole Sunday feel, and we put like our own spin on it. And I literally would get there at like 1:30 p.m. and people are just blacked out. It's like, and then we close the blinds at 2. So when you leave at 5, you don't know where you are, what time of day. And like, it's crazy because like when we first started, we would end it at 5, and then people would just spill out into the streets of Del Rey, and it was like The Walking Dead. Like people are having like mimosas. They're having mimosas like The Office and Park Tavern, and there's just like these drunk girls and guys, and just like, oh my, but it's great. It's great though.
It's so much fun. No, I totally forgot because obviously like the radio station we worked at was in Miami. So once I started working there, I was in Miami 24/7, but just talking about it, I was like, man, I miss Del Rey. It's such a nice place. If you're in Florida, in South Florida, and you've never been to Del Rey, you have to because it's a special place. It's really fun. And Vinny is like the resident DJ of Del Rey, and it's really
like
just crazy.
I'm like the self-proclaimed mayor of nightlife and entertainment in Del Rey. I just gave myself that title right here on the Millennial Girls podcast. So there you go.
No, literally he is. I remember I was telling you about how when you were on the season of The Bachelorette, I remember seeing the first episode and seeing you, and I was like, that's Vinny. Like Vinny. That's Vinny.
Yeah, right.
And everyone, all my friends, when we would watch it, and all my friends would be like, "Oh my god, I love Vinny." I'm like, I know Vinny. Like I've known him since I was a sophomore in college from going out.
No, he's my friend. He's my friend, not yours. He's my friend.
He's claimed. Fine. No, I feel like everyone probably did that though. When you were on the show because everyone just knew you.
Okay,
so,
can you please remind me what was your role on the show? Because I watched that season, I'm pretty sure, and I don't remember you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, all right, no, so, listen, not a lot of people remember me. If you have a goldfish like a memory of 3 seconds, you're lucky if you even saw me on there.
I promise you it's not personal because I don't remember most of the cast anyway, but...
Listen, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast today. So, anyway, so I was on season 12. It was JoJo Fletcher's season.
Pushing me.
And that was a season with like Jordan Rogers. That's who she's with now. I made it halfway. I did pretty good. I held it down from my fam. I held it down for the city of Del Rey. Made it halfway. It's just it was an unusual circumstance to try and date somebody. It's never been my style of dating. Like I'm never like a aggressor. Like I'm gonna go talk to that girl and I'm gonna get her number and we're gonna go home. Like I've always been more like calm and like see what comes my way. So that was a little bit outside of my element, because you're on a television show and there's 25 other guys fighting for one girl. So I was like, all right, this is a little out of the ordinary for me. And I kind of just went through the motions. I said what I said in interviews and stuff like that to kind of see how else I can stay on this show rather than try and fight for love with, maybe it wasn't there. It was I was there, but like the chemistry wasn't there as part of a relationship. So she basically friend zoned me.
Did you go into the season wanting to like find something out of it, or what was the goal behind it?
This is something that I've been asked a lot, and I'm not naive. Like, I knew I was going on a television show. Right. It's different for the guys rather than the girls that watch the show, because girls, I hope maybe you can agree that, you want that fairy tale, love story, hopeless romantic. And guys, there are guys that like that. And of course I would like that too, but I knew I was going on a TV show with a chance to potentially fall in love. Listen, it could have happened. It does happen, and I've started to develop feelings on other shows that I was on. But I went in there knowing that this is a show. Let's see what happens. And I kind of took it day by day. And I, listen, preparing for this for months and packing and getting clothes and kind of, telling people I'm going to be away for 2 months and not telling them why. All I cared was when I was there, I was like, please, 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 please do not let me go home night one. I don't care what happens. I could be the drunk guy. I could be the villain.
Like,
I can be the...
Whatever you need me to be, just don't send me home on night one, please.
God, and I was on that chopping block of being sent home night one, and thank God I didn't, because I was just so drunk. It was probably like the top 3 drunkest I've ever been in my life, to be honest.
Why?
It's just like,
wait, why?
I don't know. It's just like, I think it's the mix of the stress. And plus you're dieting when you go on the show. So I probably haven't had a loaf of bread in 3 months prior to that. So I'm like, I have one sip of Fireball and I'm like, woo! And
Party, let's go.
Yeah. So, you're on lockdown for 3 days before you go to shoot the first night. You're by yourself. So it's like a mental,
and you don't have your phone.
Mind. You have nothing, so you're just fire. You're coming out the gate just swinging. So I drank, and they give you drinks. They want you to drink, and I was one of those guys. But they could have made it worse, but it was known that I was drunk on night one. So she actually called my name last that night. So like during the thing, my eyes are closed like this, and I'm just like, please, I will never hear the end of it from anybody I know. My boys would crush me. So every night going into a rose ceremony, I'm like, all right, this is going to be it. I'm out of here. Second night, third night. I'm like, wow, third night. Okay, fourth. No, I'm definitely going home the fourth night. Nope, got it. So then I got halfway. But it was stressful. It was stressful.
I feel like he has low-key, like, he's stressed right now, just thinking back
when
about it.
When I watch it back, I just realized, like, oh my, I was literally saying in my head, I'm like, please do not go home. Please do not go home. But, I ended up not being the drunk guy night one, and I, became friends with everybody. Started a little bit of a relationship with Joelle there, a little bit, meaning like a couple minutes here and there a day talking to her. And I made it halfway. Yeah, that's a relationship in this day and
that's
age.
pretty much it. So
that's marriage right there.
Yeah, you should have proposed at this point in 2020. I mean, that's where we're at.
A month too early. 2 months would have did it. A month, not so sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did it that way. I had a little buzz about me on there. Went halfway. Went to. They asked me to go on Paradise right after that, and that's kind of where I became more familiar in the Bachelor Nation. On Bachelor in Paradise.
I mean. Paradise was just, what too, like you were on the season, even with the Bachelorette, that is, I think for me, everyone still thinks it's like most memorable. Like your group of people was just, for the most part, really good guys. Yeah. And there wasn't any like crazy, I mean, obviously you had some, but for like 99% of you, 98% of you were just good people, which I think was such a breath of fresh air because you guys were relatable. And I know a lot of people kept saying that about your season. Like JoJo was relatable. You guys were relatable. You guys had real issues that you were talking about on your season. And even going into Paradise, I think that's why everyone still talks about your season.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not. I always try to think, was it because I was on that season? I wanted to be
It's
like one of the
obviously
most
you.
memorable ones. Yeah, I mean, duh. Come on.
Duh.
Like I said, I was trying to think, is it because I was on that season? I thought it was most memorable. I think it was a combination. We had a really good group of guys that we still talk, obviously, to this day, most of us. And it was a combination of that and Instagram. Excuse me, I'm dying over here. Instagram was popular, obviously, when we went on the show, but it was like at that curve where it was like, now your mom and grandma have it time of Instagram,
Right.
you know? And so it was like right before everything started blowing up in the social media world. Now you can go on these shows to make money, to do this, do that. So there was a lot of genuine people on there. There wasn't just people just trying to go on there to, sell detox tummy teas or whatever the hell you call it. No offense to anybody that sells that, but it's just not my thing. But so that's where the genuineness came from on my season, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, after that is pretty much when it took a turn. So
Yeah, I mean, for the better. I mean, now they make sure there's villains now a little bit more because they saw in my season with Chad how much attention that I got.
I always say, stay away from the nice guys.
I totally agree.
But in the end, I'm actually nice.
3 of us don't have dates this week.
You've gone a full life of not seeing JoJo. You can't wait a day. Like, you can chill. She'll be here. She's not gonna disappear next week.
What were all the things that you love about me?
I don't know yet. I mean, these guys can all tell you all the different things that they love about you and they've studied about you on TV or whatever, but I don't know. I know you're beautiful. You can't be in love with her. Like, if you are, that's weird. It wants to stop you from falling in love with the next girl that immediately walks up.
It became very, what's the word? It became very more like pop culture rather than, I think, trying to be a dating show, for potentially getting married. But that's just kind of the generation that we turned into. And it's good for them because it's all, they can market with that. There's so many people that go on there and get millions of followers, and it's like an internal marketing system for them that they don't even have to promote it. We promote it for them.
yeah, so I actually auditioned last season. Fun fact. So
Did you tell me that?
I don't remember. I went to the casting because I was like, why not? They're here.
Yeah,
And
in Fort Lauderdale at the Riverside Hotel.
And
oh,
it
yeah.
was so crazy because I had an agent. I have an agent. I've done the acting thing and dance thing and forever. And it was still one of the wildest auditions I've been on because everyone was really young going into this casting process. And it was just so crazy. I brought my sister with me and she was like, this is wild. I know now they don't really promote they don't want you to be wasted because of everything that had happened in the past, but these girls were blacked out in the waiting room. And I remember sitting, waiting to go into the room and actually, talk to the casting person. Mm-hmm. And all these girls, I'm just sitting there because, obviously I talk for a living. So I'm just like, oh, this is, whatever. It's just another day. And these girls are sitting there freaking out. And they're like, oh, my God. What do you think they're going to make us do? And I was like, what do you mean? You talk to someone and they cast, on camera.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, that was the moment in my life, I kid you not, that I was like, people who don't do this for a living, it must be so crazy for them to do something like this.
People have asked me they're like, Vinny, what, I want to go down the show. What do I got to do? I'm like, I tell people there's not a magic phrase. You're going to an interview, but you're not interviewing for a job. They're really just saying it's an audition, but they just want to see what type of person you are. So you can't put on this front oh, I'm gonna fall in love and I like Labradors and I want a house with a white picket fence, because at the end of the day, that's just gonna show the opposite of who you are. If you're just lying.
Right.
So, like you said, you just have to keep a conversation. It is nerve-wracking for people that aren't in that realm of business. I guess that's why they were pre-gaming before the Bachelor audition.
I was like, oh, this is why. So I literally went in there. You have to fill out a packet and of just answering questions about your life and dating. So I was just sitting there, like, waiting. And it takes a while, like any other casting does. And these girls were like, oh my God, I didn't know I had to do this. Because if you don't do it beforehand, you have to do it there. So if they were drunk, they definitely were not filling it out properly. But it was just really funny. I saw some friends there. It was just really funny day. I was like, I remember walking out and I was just like, what did I just do? Like, this was crazy. Yeah. It was fun though.
The only reality show audition that I've ever done was for Miami Beach Toe. So that was interesting.
You did that? Wait.
Something on, I don't even know if it was like on Craigslist. I have no idea.
Oh no.
I found something where it was like audition. It was, I don't know if they worded it as audition, but they were like, there's a reality show, they tow cars, blah, 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 but they didn't like specify like which show it is, and there's only one, and it's like the repo show or whatever. So I like go, I show up to the building. I'm the only person there. Like, it wasn't like a thing where they had like set up appointments, I guess, because it wasn't like a casting call. So I go in and like, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, the fact that they even made me like try to act out a scenario of like me getting my car towed was just like, that was just not.
It was like my Sun Drop Soda commercial.
It was the weirdest thing. Like, I was just like, if my car got like, I was like, I'm not a drama queen. Like, I can't act the way you probably would want me to. Like, I'm not ratchet. I'm not like, it's not gonna happen. Like, they were like, okay, but pretend like you're tired of walking. You've been walking for 2 miles, so you got to take your heels off. And I was like, yeah, no, I definitely didn't get the part.
Oh yeah, they wanted you to do the take the shoes off thing. Yeah.
Wait, so what ended up happening?
No, I didn't get it. I mean, they never called me back.
I wouldn't take the shoes off, so they didn't call me.
I was actually concerned that, like, because I had just moved to Miami, like, within that year. So I was like, if I actually were to be on this show, like, people are going to know me as this person in Miami. And I was like, I don't know if I want that reputation.
Oh, my God.
That's amazing. Wow. Imagine
bizarre.
if you would have booked it and you would have had to, like, gone buck wild on the episode.
Like, maybe I would have been like more famous in Miami. Who knows? I mean,
is that show
girl.
even still around?
I don't even know. I have no idea.
I would love to just be irate because I could turn that on real quick. I'll take my shoes off just to get on an episode of freaking Miami Beach Toe. Are you kidding me? I would go nuts. I would flip out, go crazy.
Oh, you guys would probably be great at it, but it was just that was.
Oh, I would go insane. I would take off the shoes. I'd make sure I was wearing all pink. And take off my shoes and go crazy.
There you go.
So we are super excited that this episode is sponsored by Formula Z Cosmetics, and this is some good news to talk about. So obviously June is Pride Month, if you did not know. So their Formula Z Cosmetics, this Mission Z lipstick lip stain, 30% of the proceeds are going back to the Trevor Project. So if you want to find out more about that information, head on over to our Instagram, millennial_girls. We did a whole video talking about it. It's for a really great cause. We love Formula Z Cosmetics, 100% vegan. So you're not getting any of that crazy stuff on your face that's going to give you some acne. And yeah, it's cruelty free. So thank you so much, Formula Z Cosmetics. We love it. And I mean, Natasha, the bag. Let's talk about it. The cosmetic case that comes in.
It's so cute. I love it. I've actually used it when I went out this weekend, and I put even like my cards, like my debit card and stuff, it all fit in there with my essentials. So I took the Diamond Gloss in Prodigy, which I'm wearing right now. If you're watching on YouTube, this glittery lip gloss is on my lips right now. I love it.
We love it so much. There's lots of shimmer and sparkle in their products, and obviously that's on brand for Millennial Girls. And if you are a big fan of their products or you want to know more about it, head on over to their website, Formula Z Cosmetics, and you can actually use our discount code Millennial Girls for 10% off your entire purchase, and shipping is worldwide. But okay, so Vinny, after you got off Paradise, everyone was so in your corner, Team Vinny, which obviously you're such a good human being, so I'm glad that that's how it was.
Thank you.
Were you over the situation at that point once you were done?
Like I said, I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew that there would be questions after. For a while, I wasn't. Yeah, for a while, like I knew I'd have to talk about it and address it, and it was fine. And then it was like constant like podcast talking about it after. And then like, I was like, no, I don't get it. It's like, it was back then, talking about it. And it was like, just kind of like beating a dead horse. And then for a while, I just like didn't want to talk about it anymore. And it wasn't like a life-changing experience. It was just like, I was just getting sick of talking about the same thing. So for a while, I just stopped doing like, Bachelor podcasts and stuff like that. And then, I've circled back to it now that I, want to talk about it on podcasts. So, I mean, but it was just an unfortunate situation. I was, dating a girl on there that we solidified our relationship, a week in, we solidified that we were, here, we were here for each other. And then, she had a sudden change of heart when somebody else came in, and I was kind of blindsided. And then I decided to remove myself from the beach in paradise, and that's where I got a standing ovation. And then everybody fell in love with me. I cried.
You're gonna watch this. And you're gonna hear the things that I've said about you. There's other ways of how you could have went about that. I've chosen to remove myself from here. I'm leaving.
I love Vinny. I really do. He's such a good person. And I just kind of feel like a really person. Like he deserves a lot better than what I just did.
Every time I cried, I got 10,000 Instagram followers. So I saw that it was an investment to cry.
It was an investment. I can't.
The one tear, the perfect actor tear that just like drips down your face in the most dramatic scene.
Yeah. At the time, I didn't know that. It's funny to joke about it now. So people crush me after hearing this that I only went on there to get Instagram followers. It's a joke that I'm making after the fact that I didn't know when I was there if I cried, but it worked though.
I
was upset. I was upset. I wasn't acting. They were real freaking tears. For anybody who tries to criticize me after this, I was crying.
You're like, you can do a science experiment.
You're like, I have a heart.
Yeah.
They are true. No, I was saying that I was saying that with a guy crying, I feel, well, first of all, I mean, the assumption, I would assume that majority are female followers for Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise. I would
probably
imagine.
90%. Yeah.
So obviously, when a girl sees a guy cry, oh, your heart melts, oh, whatever, right? But
he's sensitive.
Yeah. No, and I'm not saying you personally, just in general. So I'm saying now, I feel like if a girl cries, it's a complete opposite reaction because you're like, oh, she's a drama queen,
Oh, I feel like that's an everyday situation. Girls cry. It's
right.
I deal with it. I guess we're programmed as humans to not necessarily always see guys, macho, tough guys, especially on a show where everybody's, got 75 abs down to their taint. They're these big jacked guys. So it's like, and you see those guys get emotional. I think that's where, the strong female following comes in. And I've never been afraid to show my emotions and stuff like that because at the time I was upset and I was drained. I was away from my family. I was cut off. I vibe very much like with my surroundings and my friends and working. So being like, as you said, like you work in a business that, you're around people and you talk. Like when that was like stripped of me and then I'm on this beach and it's hot. It was just like, there's a lot of emotions that go behind it than just the relationship, So it was like, I was triggered by like somebody spilling like a cup of coffee or something. I'd start being emotional about it.
Now
it's
you know
weird
what it feels
happens.
like to be a girl.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like I was on my freaking period the whole month I was there filming.
That's
okay.
exactly what it's like.
I wanted chocolate. I wanted tater tots. I wanted, scrunchy
Chick-fil-A.
socks. Chick-fil-A. So,
Oh my God.
I feel like that's the thing that people don't realize about being on these shows is that, like, I know you had David on from, what is it? Not Love is Blind.
Too Hot to Handle.
That's it. Wow, brain, work today. But, like, the same thing. I was watching different interviews and stuff. They're like, we didn't have our phones. Like, you go into these type of things, like filming, and you are stripped of yourself. You are literally just your being, and you're with other people, and you might, interact well with them, you might not, and you're there. Once you're there, you're there. You have no option.
You don't have the phone the entire the time that you're there.
So they pretty much take it in the second you get in your room. But me being a veteran in that space, I made some arrangements to make sure that I handed in a different phone.
It sounds like prison. Yeah, you're like, let me make some trades and some deals together.
You're like, I'll give you some chicken nuggets if you let me turn in my other phone.
I mean, I handed in. You can hear it here first in the podcast. I handed in one of my old phones, and I kept my other phone on me, but I didn't use it. So when we sit in the hotel, in like a holding hotel, so to speak. So we're there for 3 days, and that's like when you kind of like decompress from life. You know, your producers come by and check on you. I use my burner phone in the hotel there, but when we left to go shoot on the beach, which is like an hour away, I didn't bring it out because I was like, I'm gonna really just, because also I like to disconnect too. You know, it's good. It was good as much as I hated taking the phone away. It was good because I got to like be in the moment and have conversations with people because we're all on the same page there. No one's got their phone. There's no distractions. You're talking to somebody. You know, you're locked in on their eyes and you're having these meaningful conversations. So I did at least want to live that experience like everybody else.
I find that super interesting that you wouldn't think that while you're watching it, right? So as a viewer, you're not thinking, oh, okay, this is what happens behind the scenes. But it's like you guys all kind of go through like a detox anytime that you go into one of these shows.
Definitely.
Which is super
and I didn't know
it would change. I would think it would like change the dynamic of the show too in an interesting way.
Yeah, I think it does for the better. It's just because it's how we are of society now. We're so dialed in, and I didn't know other shows did that. So I was pretty excited to hear that Mark from Love Is Blind and then David from Too Hot to Handle, that they went through the similar things. But it's good. It does let you have meaningful and genuine conversations. And I think it's not that I know that's why everybody that's been on the shows together are so close now because of it.
Do they do a psych test? Because I feel like there's certain people who would lose their actual minds. They
100% do a psychiatric evaluation, and it's like 30 pages.
Wow.
The test alone will make you go nuts because it's like so crazy. It goes from saying, obviously, do you like to be in a room that's blue? Right? And that'll be the number one question. Number two would be, would you ever be a park ranger? It's like, what the hell? And then it gets like, they're so all over the place. But I think in the end, when they edit it, they try to find like certain trends with how you answer things. But it's like, how am I supposed to go from saying I'm going to sit in a blue room to would I be a park ranger?
Like maybe.
And then it's like, oh, maybe I would. I never thought about that.
Maybe I would. Like, I love Yogi the Bear.
It's just so outlandish, and then it goes like, do you like your dad? It's like, what the heck? And then you start like second guessing things. You're like, man, maybe I don't like being in the blue rooms. Maybe I hate my dad. I wouldn't want to be a park ranger. So then it's like a whole freaking experiment in itself, and it's like like long. They're like hundreds of questions. And I had to do that every time you go off the show or come back on a show. You have to do it all over again, no matter what. So I had to do it for the Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, and then I went on Bachelor in Paradise again. Right, so I had to do it 3 times, and then we got sent home on the 4th season of Paradise because of Corinna DeMario situation. And then when we came back, we had to do it again. So I did four freaking times. Even Wells, the bartender, has to do it.
Wait, so when you get asked the park ranger question for the 4th time, how do you feel about it?
Feel it yet?
I think on the 4th time I was like, fuck it. If this doesn't work out, I'm gonna be kicking it with Yogi Bear.
Oh my god!
Yeah, might as well.
Oh my
I
god,
think I took a picture one day. I'll show you guys some of these crazy questions. It's like, it's nuts. Listen, life could be worse. I was fortunate to go on TV shows, but this is the stuff that people don't realize. So when they say, oh, what a bitch, you cried. Like, I'm freaking emotionally drained, dude. I'm drained, and we're in Mexico. It's hot. There's no air conditioner, so.
I mean, luckily you're from Florida, so for you it's probably it's the same thing.
Yeah, I got used to it pretty quick. I got used to it.
That's like when I did a hot yoga class in California, and the girl was like, "Oh, have you been in like a room with temperature over that?" I was like, "Yeah, we're from Florida." And she literally goes, "Oh, you'll be fine." She's like, "Oh, you're used to the heat." I'm like, okay. Like dies in the class, it's fine. But
I've never done yoga at all. I'm just not flexible enough, and I'm kind of disappointed I've never done it.
We went through a yoga phase when we were at work, and we'd go after work, and then the next day we'd be talking about our class on air. There was another girl that was like, she was dripping, like this instructor, like I talked about it on the morning show, like I was like, I couldn't get over it. Like I felt like her clothes was just gonna like melt off. Like it was very interesting.
no, Natasha also was like in a trance that class.
Oh, I was.
Feeling it.
Oh yeah.
After we were walking back to work to our cars, and she's like, wow, like I just at one point felt like I was in a trance, and I was like, I wasn't.
I feel like I became one with everybody, and you're like, nah, not me.
There was that moment, like you would just like become like, you're like, that's that moment when you would like see a mirage, like when you're out like in the Goonies, and like I was like, I understand everything now. Like
I was choreographing a dance in my head because she wasn't playing yoga music. She was playing like covers of songs, and I was like, ooh, this is a good song. I just didn't vibe with her, so I tried another teacher, and it was a guy, and I was like I was like, yes, we are one. Like, I love your class. And he was like, Yogi, Handstand Dan.
You say Handstand Dan?
Yeah, that's his name.
Oh, awesome. All right. Good stuff.
And I was like, I want to be your friend.
I thought you were making it up.
No, that's his name.
Handstand Dan.
Shout out to Handstand Dan.
Can you do like a virtual class, please? I'm sure you.
We need to call Handstand Dan so that the three of us can do this class together and show Vinny what it's about.
Wait, that's another episode, Vinny. We all need to take a yoga class together.
Yeah, I'm down. No, I listen, I would do it. I don't know if I'd be alive after it, but I'm definitely down to put myself through torture so we can get good content out of it, of course.
Yeah, it's all about the content.
We can wear sweatbands too and make it like...
So down. I'm so down for it. You let me know. Handstand Dan and Split. I don't even know what I was going to say. Splitty
Biker
Vinny
shorts.
or something. I don't know.
Splitty Vinny? Oh, God. Now we got to try to get Vinny to do the split. I can't even do the split. So to see Vinny trying to do the splits, that'll be hilarious.
If he can't even sit crisscross applesauce, that might be an interesting situation here. We got to talk about you being on Millionaire Matchmaker.
Okay.
Because we haven't gotten there yet. And I'm very excited to get there.
Well, yeah, I went on there. I'll break it down for you quickly. I went on there. Patty Stanger became a friend of mine after going on The Bachelor. She was actually like a call-in Zoom guest on my After the Final Rose, whatever the heck it's called, After Paradise.
After the Final Rose.
Or something like that. She came on. She was cool. I reached out, and she's like, listen, I want you to be on my next season. I was like, well, hate to break it to you, I'm not a millionaire. Like, as
Just
much as
like
I wish I was.
I'm not that.
And people, I mean, they're like, what are you on that show? You're not a millionaire. I was like, well, that's what the show in the beginning started as. She was a millionaire matchmaker. Like, she was taking these millionaires, and then I guess her clientele base just kind of, maybe there wasn't that many millionaires that wanted to get dated. So it turned into the $1 million matchmaker. Like, she's the $1 million matchmaker. So that's why it was a crossover with Daniel and I. Daniel from Bachelor in Paradise.
Canadian.
Daniel the Canadian. So him and I went on there. And it was cool because, like, they never, like, do, like, a duo on one of the seasons. On the episodes, they never really do duos. So him and I got to go on there and do, like, have a lot of bro moments and stuff like that. So it was cool to experience that with one of your friends. It was fun. It was a good time.
All this stuff sounds so much fun, though. Like, I know it's drama or like it's tiring, but it sounds like a lot of fun.
No, it was, and she's great. Patty's great. Like, she does that for a living. I mean, she is a public figure.
I read her book in high school. Like, I was very into all that.
No, she's great at what she does. That is her job. She's not an actor. I mean, she has a TV show, but she's still being herself. And for me, going on The Bachelorette, it's like you're kind of just another number there. But I think Patty, it was directed more and geared towards me, what I wanted, because I was the one guy looking for, a relationship with the girls that she picked out for me. So it was cool to be on that side of the mirror there, so to speak.
Did it change your perspective on dating at all? Like, obviously being on all of these shows, like you said, it's exhausting, doing this on television. So did it kind of change your perspective coming out of it after everything had quote unquote died down? They were already on 3 seasons after The Bachelorette or Bachelor.
There's the perspective of being on a show and a perspective of myself. For me, it helped me in some aspects that to maybe dive deeper a little bit in relationships, for the simple reason of you're on a TV show and you're only here for a month, or you can only be here for a year. So you really got to like, hey, you want to have kids? Nice to meet you. Like you have to like ask those things like right away, because time.
I want to be a park ranger, by the way, in case this doesn't work out.
Hey, nice hair. I want to be a park ranger. So you really did have to kind of like, every day is like a week. So you really have to move very fast. So that was kind of cool. That I'm not really afraid to ask people that, right, within the first date or something like that. I mean, I have a girlfriend now for 3 years, but she really taught me, Patty, to just dig deep and get under the hood before making decisions, rather than just by physical appearance or just off of lust, so to speak. So she did help me there. Shout out to Patty Stanger. I miss you.
Patty, we love you.
Love it.
Racquel, now I know you're a big part of the Panthers organization. For people that don't know, Racquel is the arena personality.
Well,
you were.
So I'm not there anymore. No. So
okay.
I was the in-arena and digital host for the Florida Panthers for the NHL team.
Right. So I was going to ask you, was like probably the biggest crowd in front of you that you've been in front of ever? Like the first day. Take me through like that first day. You got the job, obviously. You're going there, and like, is there like rehearsals? Like, do you go and talk on the mic because there's echoes? Like what goes on like that first day?
So it's like unlike anything you've ever done before in your life. I went to school for journalism, right? So I have a degree in talking and storytelling, basically. So, and after college, I worked for an online digital music publication for years. So I was their country music correspondent. I was on red carpets. I was doing interviews with lots of country music, stars. But being in front of 18,000 people, and you do echo. So my first season, I didn't wear an earpiece. So I couldn't talk to anyone or hear anyone talking to me. Like, it went through my stage manager or my co-host. So I was brought on the last 10 games of my first season as the introduction, as like the co-host situation, because they had never done that before. It was always one person. It was always a female. And then they went in a different direction the year I auditioned. And I had made it down to the last 5. They ended up picking a guy. But they had said in the initial, like, you didn't get it phone call, we want to keep you on file, basically, just in case. And in my head, I was like, that's just a nice way of them being like, you were really great, but we're going in a different direction. Like that.
But I'll let you know if things pop up.
So I was like, they're never going to call me ever again. They did. They had me come in for the sold out Rangers game, which sold out. Every single person, you've been to Rangers and New York games. Yeah. There is not one seat in the house that is empty. So I remember walking, I was so nervous. I was so freaking nervous. And I grew up dancing and doing acting and all that stuff. So the nerves for that are not normally there. I could not eat. Like, I was that nervous because you walk in, you have your meeting. They tell you what kind of the rundown is of the show. And then I would go to my dressing room. They were like, okay, we want you to wear this shirt. Here's some shirts to choose from. What are you wearing? You guys match, da-da-da. And I was like, okay, just everything was going so quick. And then they come in at like 3:45, 3:30 and just plop a 45, 50-page script on your table. They're like, okay, I memorize everything. Like, there's no teleprompter. You don't have a teleprompter. Your boss is not like telling you the script in your ear. If you don't know it, you don't know it. So we were memorizing the scripts, and then at 5 o'clock, 5:15, we would have sound check. So we would go in the arena and do our little sound check, and we would run through some stuff. Obviously, my first game, they like ran through a couple more things. And then that's it. You practice until you have to go up, which is if puck drops at 7:05, you start at 6:45. Your pregame hit. So yeah, I mean, it's always constantly, there's no downtime. Like, once you walk into the arena for your first initial meeting, it's go, go, go. And obviously, like, as the season goes on, there's very similar repetitive things. So you kind of get in the flow. But, I mean, sometimes there's obscure... Like, I remember one year I had to do this really long Cirque du Soleil hit. And the wording of it was the crazy... It was like, the magnificent magnifying, blah, blah. I was just like, what is... And I just remember standing, I was in like the 300 level too, so I was up really high, it's on a slant, I'm like, okay, don't look down, like, and I'm very clumsy, so there was like a solid chance every time I was like, I might fall and kill myself today, like, I'm in heels, it was...
No big deal.
Yeah.
I would have loved if you just like came like on like a rope, like all of a sudden you just do a stunt.
Like come down. That would have been
magnificent.
No, it was, I just remember blocking everything out and just being I had an earpiece, so this was my second season, and my boss is like, okay, Racquel, ready, 5, 4, 3, and I'm like, the light comes on, the camera light comes on, and you're like, well, here goes nothing.
Yeah.
And then after, I remember just being like I can't breathe, like having a panic attack.
And you nailed it or what?
I did nail it, but it was just so stressful. I remember I only had to do it one time too, and I was like, I'm never doing that again. And my co-host was like, good job. I was like, you can do it next time. Like, somehow I always got the long ones because I was like, you know, the person who was trained and went to journalism school, and like the dude I was always with was like the hype man, and I was like, can I be like the let's make some noise person? They're like, no, you actually have this one today. It's about Panthers conservation night, and I'm like, okay.
So now you had 50-page scripts, so to speak, or rundowns. Now,
yeah.
Somebody like me or people that go to the games, they might be like inexperienced or they don't know, like, there's so much that they might just look at, oh, this is girl, just a host. She'll say some funny things at a hockey game, throw out some shirts. But you did like the Cirque du Soleil thing. Was that, so did you, it was just for the Panthers, or you worked for like the arena and you would do other stuff as well?
So my first season and a half, I just worked for the Panthers. And then they had started like having me do some like more, you know, I hosted the watch parties, and then once they kind of got to know me and who I was as a person, and just my background was in music journalism and entertainment, they were like, oh, okay, like maybe we could kind of see how we could use her to this advantage. So my last season with them, I wasn't in game at all. I had completely just gone to the BB&T, the arena side. So I did all of their digital stuff. So anytime the arena would put out stuff, it would be, you know, maybe a video of me telling you what concerts were coming up. I would do a Monday music update. Right. I still hosted the watch parties. I hosted the pregame show outside on the stage. So that was really fun. But I was lucky with them because I got to learn a lot of different things that you wouldn't have learned if you weren't on set, so to say.
Right.
Yeah, so I learned a lot of stuff. It was very stressful and a high stress environment. Obviously, you can imagine. Like, I would always see you when you were at the games. I'd be running around. I'd be like, "Hi, Vinny!" Like running,
it's
like
a lot. No, you're at work. You're at work.
Steam ahead. Like everyone's like, "Oh my god, you just like have fun." I'm like, no.
It's a lot.
Like, it's a lot. It's really, you learn a lot though, obviously. And you know, I had never worn an earpiece before, so I was like, the first time I had an earpiece, my second season, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And it's just like one more element that you bring into the dynamic of a live show. You're like, okay, so now my boss is talking in my ear as I'm talking, like, it's just so crazy. Like, it is unlike anything else, but it was super fun. And but like you said, being on, you know, The Bachelor and stuff, it's emotionally draining. It takes such a toll on your body and your mind and everything. I remember even after everything happened with the Stone Douglas shooting and we had, you know, done a game dedicated to them, I will never forget that day in my life because I went to Douglas. I'm from Parkland, and my co-host wasn't there that night. And they had let me sit in on meetings, so I wasn't so in shock, and I had an inside, you know, perspective of everything that was going on. And I just remember being in soundcheck, hysterically bawling, and my boss being like, can you do this tonight? Like, can you physically? And I remember was like, I have to. Like, I have to do this for my community. And the first hit of the game, I think I blacked out. Like, I truly don't remember being there. I don't remember saying anything. And people were texting me and were just like, you're gonna be okay. You can get through it. And I did, but I just remember coming home and just sitting in my room and just being like, I'm so drained. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy. You don't think of it from that side of things. Even news reporters and stuff, especially, like, they're there to tell the bad things that happen. You get emotionally drained. I feel like people don't, even with us, like when we were on the radio, when Kobe died and we had to continuously talk about that coverage, and same thing with everything with Corona when that started, people don't humanize us. They think we just are I feel like they think we're robots and we're just fine with talking about it. When you have to talk about that stuff for however many hours you do, like, you are emotionally drained. You are a human being. And I think even with you being on the shows, when you were crying and stuff, like, you're a human being. You are a human being. Like, you have emotions. I don't have a black soul. Like, even though I like to think I do. Like, I don't have a black soul.
And I think like in both of your cases too, it's like what's draining even more is an audience as well. Like, and I'm not saying in a bad way. It's just every single person that is watching you, whether it's on TV, whether it's in the stadium, their energy, you're taking on that energy too.
Yeah.
Like, their opinions, their hopes, their dreams, their happy, their sadness, all this stuff. So it's a lot.
Yeah, when we were losing and I would have to do like things, it was not always the easiest thing.
It's a lot of people's energy. So that's why the same with even covering like all this news. Like, I watched, the news last night, and I'm just like, how do you feel talking about this in front of millions of people? And it's such a sensitive topic, It must, you must come home like dead.
Yeah, I would come home so drained. I lost like 10 pounds my second season, and I'm a tiny person, and it was literally just from, I was running around the place in heels, so it was like a great workout, but I was so just like, I wasn't necessarily like eating enough food to like counteract how many calories I was burning, but then I would come home and I would eat so much, and it was late at night, and it was just like the schedule really, like you're a DJ, you come home super late, you're like hungry, you're tired, you're like, should I eat at 5 a.m., 3 a.m.? Should I not? Like, that's probably not good if I have to wake up in a couple hours, but like, you do it anyway.
Right,
so,
yeah, the hours are different,
Yeah, I feel like people don't also like talk about that. They're like, oh wait, yeah, you come home at 3 a.m. and you're starving, like... But I'm not waking up until whatever.
Like all the jobs like that, with being a radio personality or at least like an in-person host of an arena, like, it's like you have to portray that, not portray, but you have to make sure you're always on. Yeah. And like sometimes, like you said, you take on, there could be negative things in the media. There could be, let's say the Panthers are losing, you could be taking on that stress, and you always have to make sure that, you're showing the positivity and things.
Yeah, if the Panthers were losing, I still had to do my t-shirt toss, and people would be like, fuck
people
you.
Like, I don't even want these. I don't even want these shirts. They suck.
they'd be like, screw you. And I'm like, I'm not playing. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
so now you guys, you met at the radio station. Now you both find out you guys are pretty similar.
Besties.
And quarantine happens. You're like, let's take advantage of the downtime, but let's take advantage of it and start this podcast and talk about what you guys want to talk about. So what is like your mission statement, so to speak, behind the Millennial Girls podcast?
That's a good question. I'm like, I don't even know.
Now you're on the other side of the spectrum here. Now I'm going to ask you guys.
No,
right?
now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, Racquel and I have never like sat and been like, this is our mission statement. I think our primary goal was just like trying to find out like who our audience is, because when we first started, we we did our research, we were trying to see like, what other people were doing and kind of like their style and how we can make our own. And so one of the biggest takeaways was always like, find your niche. Like, that was always the thing that you would be, reading or listening to by other people that are doing the same thing. And so we were trying to figure that out, which is why we came up with the name to begin with, because it's not limiting, but it's also targeting at the same time. Right. So I can't necessarily say I don't know if Racquel has a mission statement, but I would say it's more so just like we wanted to transfer over what we were doing at the radio. So we still want to talk to the DJs and we still want to kind of stay in that EDM world, but we're not limited to that. So we're talking to obviously other people that are in the industry and that have the experience in different areas in the industry, not just the EDM genre. And mostly I think, you know, her audience and mine on social in general is from like the 25 to 45 range. So it just kind of happens to be, you know. But I don't know if Racquel, if you maybe have, like, we've never actually talked about that. Like,
I mean,
in
putting
particular.
I don't mean for you guys to have like the, you know, like this glorified Declaration of Independence answer to it, but like you kind of answered it. You found your niche, and like you're saying, it's more of you'd rather be, you know, have a very wide vast of guests on, but you don't want to limit anything. So, I mean, that kind of answered my question. It's in the entertainment. You want to follow up with, you know, entertainment and DJs and stuff like that, but you can also go to other, you know, things of what's going on in the world, like the news and the media, but still kind of stay in that entertainment forefront.
I think for us too, we were very cognizant about the fact that we wanted it to be really us, because we've talked about this before. Just because you're on, you know, the radio, you're still a personality, and it's only probably 50 or 30% of who you actually are. So for us with this, it's more of who we actually are as people. Like, my friends were always, you know, like, I wish people got to see more of who you were, because at the Panthers I had to be this perfect host, very much so journalist, you know, kind of personality or persona. I always say acting, bring it back to acting. And on the radio, the first thing my programming director said was like, you can have more fun, you know, you can still have fun, and you don't have to be so perfect. So that was the biggest transition for me. And now on here, you know, our last episode, I opened up about my battle with anxiety, and I'm being very much more real, and both of us are. And I think that's something that we're learning. And our feedback has been, it's very refreshing to see that you are being yourself and not just a part of yourself or a personality, you know, on-air personality person. So that, I think, has been definitely one of, like, help really great about this as well.
Yeah, I think if we were to say any kind of like keywords as far as our mission, like, now we're gonna put it together with you. So
yeah, thanks, Vinny.
Hey, everything happens for a reason. I'm trying to help you guys, you know, get that purpose of what's going on here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it does come down a lot to one of the things we've talked about a lot often is, you know, being relatable, being real, being ourselves, being authentic, which is not easy to do. It's not easy to do all the time. Like,
and I struggle with that. So
yeah, it's not. It's really. Sometimes you think it is, but then once you actually start to do it, or even have the thoughts about it, like, I had a whole breakdown about this last week, because it gets to the point where you start thinking like, oh my God, what are people gonna say? Are they gonna react? Same as me. I was asking myself, if I were to do an Instagram story talking about something that I dealt with and I start crying, like I was just saying earlier, I'm like, I feel like people are going to think I'm a drama queen and not, you know, so like you start overthinking it rather than just, you know, putting it out there, which I think what we're trying to do with Millennial Girls is just like, boom, here we are. It's out on the table. Yeah.
People will respect that. I know that for a fact, that if, you know, once you're genuine, like you said, it's not hard. I believe it's not hard to be authentic, because that we're just being ourselves. It's harder to portray. I keep using that word, freaking portray. I don't mean to use that. It's easy to be who you are, but it's hard to show that, obviously, on a podcast, or show that in a video sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like you said, it's hard to get on a camera and talk about how you feel. So this can be, you know, a good platform if you guys go that route. You know, I know you wanted to stick more in the entertainment thing, but, you know, I think that's, like you said, it's a good opportunity to use the platform to express how you feel about certain things and stuff like that.
And we listen, and it's not so much opinion. It's more so just bringing up conversations, you know, that I think that people want to hear and that don't typically hear from people they know. So, like, you know, Racquel's friends or my friends or people that we have a lot of listeners or fans from, you know, when she was working at the arena, who even people that we've never even met before, you know, that are listening. So it's definitely nice to have that platform, but it's also something that we're, you know, just like slowly building on, because it's video and audio. It's both worlds. We're doing both.
Yeah.
And it's something that lives on forever. So like if it's put online, like you never know. Like I always freak out about this with Racquel. I'm like, God, like stuff that lives, it's forever. So if things blow up, which of course that's obviously our goal, who knows like what's going to be used against us in a year from now if we post it. So it's a very delicate
I think that's also the hard part too. It's like we want to be ourselves and relatable, but now we're in kind of a world where everything is taken too sensitively or the wrong way. So we want to be ourselves, but we also have to be very, self-aware, because
of course
anything can be like, oh, well, you said this. And I was like, well, no, I didn't mean it like that. Even when you post a freaking Instagram picture with a caption, people are like, well, why did you say that? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm talking about like tacos. I'm confused. Where is this misinterpretation right now? So I was actually having this conversation with my friend who's a publicist as well. And he's like, yeah, I mean, everything is just taken so literally now. So we want to be light and we want to be fun, but we want to still talk about topics, but we're still trying to figure out, that balance, obviously, because it's new, just because I've been in the media industry for 5 years, that doesn't mean I'm not still learning about myself and the industry and what we're doing, what people want. So, same thing with you. You've been doing this and you've been in the public eye for forever. So you're still learning.
Yeah, and I'm just starting this podcast, as like you girls are, and I think if people recognize that you're trying to grow, they're going to grow with you. So I think, right, once in a while, I think maybe once a month, we should all get together and have, little fester sets right here, and then, we can talk about fun things from the female dynamic and the guy dynamic. We can obviously throw in me being on those darn dating shows, and we'll talk about stuff like that. I think we should collide here and there, once in there. And
I love it.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you so much. It was so nice meeting you. I'm like, I hopefully do this month to month. Like you said, that would be fun.
Yeah, I think we should get involved. We'll get the female dynamic, and then you guys can ask me crazy questions of why guys do what they do. And then I can ask you why do girls do what they do. But thank you for coming on my thank you for coming on the world famous Vince Aiden podcast. Shout out to the Millennial girls. And yeah.
Follow us, Millennial_girls and Millennial girls on all social media. Thank you, Vinny, for having us on. This is so fun.
Thank you guys for being on my show too. And I'm glad to be on yours. So
I loved it. It was so much fun.
You'll be seeing a lot more of him.
Peace out.
Sure. What we say here is peace, love, and unicorns.
Well, peace, love, and unicorns. And shout out to Danny Handstands.
Dan Handstand Man. Thank you so much, guys, for listening in. We appreciate you so much, and we want to make sure that you subscribe and ring the bell notification so you can find out every single time that we release an episode here on YouTube. So subscribe and follow us here, and we're also on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify, and we are on iHeartRadio app now. So you can follow us there as well and listen in. Thank you so much, and we will see you in the next one.